My name is Ellis. I am not the kind of guy people notice first or second or maybe even third. I blend in, always have a beige car, brown shoes, a job that involves spreadsheets and awkward lunchroom small talk. People say I am safe like that is a compliment. But let me tell you something about being safe. It does not protect you from being shattered. It all started last Friday night at the Civic Center downtown. That place with the faded red curtains and an event calendar full of retirement parties and Zumba fundraisers. My wife, Laurel, was on the committee for a local arts gala. She had been buzzing about it for weeks, picking her dress, rehearsing speeches, sending emails at midnight with way too many exclamation marks. I thought it was cute. I thought she was just excited. Now I think it was something else entirely. I parked in the back because the main lot was full. I had run late, tie wrinkled, shoes dusty, the usual. I grabbed the small bouquet I picked up at a gas station. Pathetic, I know, but I was trying. And I walked up to the back entrance of the building. Then I stopped. The small square window next to the emergency door was not supposed to give a full view of the ballroom, but it did, just enough. And what I saw made my heart skid into my stomach like a car hitting black ice. Laurel, my wife, in that dark green dress with the open back she claimed she did not buy for anyone, spinning in the arms of a man I did not recognize. Not just dancing, flowing. She laughed, tipped her head back, the kind of laugh she used to give me when I would read terrible Yelp reviews in a fake British accent. But this laugh was not mine. It was his. He was tall, confident, wearing one of those tight-fit blazers that only look good on guys who know they are admired. He held her like they had done it before, like this was a ritual, something practiced. I did not barge in. I did not yell. I did what I always do. I froze. I watched them glide across the floor while my feet stayed glued to that dirty concrete step. When I finally found the nerve to walk in, she was at the table sipping wine, cheeks flushed. She looked startled when she saw me, but only for a second. Then she smiled like nothing had happened. "You made it," she said, like I had not just seen her melt into another man's arms. I did not mention the dance, not right away. I sat through the speeches, clapped at the awards. I even forced a laugh when someone made a joke about marriage being a two-person circus with one person always cleaning up the elephant. But I did not forget. Later, when the band started back up and the same man approached her again, I stood up first. I met her halfway across the floor. I did not raise my voice, did not cause a scene, just leaned in close enough for only her to hear. And I said, "If you step out there and dance with him again, we will be having a different talk." She did not smile that time, did not laugh, did not say anything at all. And that silence told me more than any confession ever could. After I said those words, "If you step out there and dance with him again," Laurel did not flinch. She looked at me like I was overreacting, like I had just interrupted her ordering a salad. That non-response, it hurt more than if she had gotten defensive because it meant she had already weighed the options and had not fully decided which man in the room she was trying to protect. The music kept playing. Jazz, upbeat, the kind of tune people like me pretend to enjoy to fit in. But I could not hear it anymore. All I could hear was the ringing in my ears and the silence between us. Laurel just turned back toward our table like I had asked her if she wanted water. I followed, barely processing how normal everything looked around us. No one noticed. No one saw what I saw. And maybe no one cared. Back at the table, I asked her casually who that guy was, the tall one. She gave a light shrug and said, "His name is Cameron. He is on the museum board. We met during prep for the auction segment. He is funny." That was it. Funny. No mention of boundaries, of dancing too close, of the way she kept adjusting her necklace while talking to him. All the little signs I once ignored now screamed like sirens in my face. I wanted to ask more, but I did not want to sound jealous. Pathetic, I know, but sometimes you hang on to the illusion longer than you should, just to avoid what comes after. The rest of the night moved in slow motion. People laughed, champagne glasses clinked, and I sat there nodding along to conversations I could not follow. Laurel kept checking her phone under the table. Once I caught her smiling at the screen. I leaned a little to the side and saw just enough of the message preview to catch a name. Cam. I did not confront her, not there, not in public. I just smiled politely, stood up, and told her I would meet her at the car. As I walked out, I passed Cameron at the bar. He did not even pretend not to know me, just gave a nod like we were two men who understood the same tragic truth. I sat in the car for 22 minutes before she came out. 22. I counted. When she finally slipped into the passenger seat, she looked flushed and breathless, like someone who had run or danced. I asked her, "You good?" She just smiled, touched my arm and said, "I needed tonight. Thank you for coming." And right there, something broke inside me. I did not sleep that night. Laurel fell asleep beside me without a care in the world. Her breathing was soft, slow. Meanwhile, I stared at the ceiling, wondering if the woman I married had already left me emotionally months ago and just had not told me yet. I thought about that look she gave him, the one I used to get when I would surprise her with coffee at work or kiss her forehead in the morning. And I kept hearing her say that word. Funny. What the hell was so funny? The next morning, I opened her laptop. I know, invasion of privacy. But I was already past the point of pretending I did not feel crazy. And what I found was not explicit. It was not even romantic. It was something worse. Dozens of email threads about planning the event, yes, but also personal notes. Notes about me. One line in particular made my stomach twist. "He is sweet, but he would not notice if I walked out the door for a week." I did not recognize the email address she sent that to, but it was not a girlfriend. It was not a cousin. It was him, Cameron. So yeah, she may not have cheated in a way that is easy to prove, but in all the ways that mattered, I was already gone. Sunday morning arrived like a fog. Laurel was already up before I opened my eyes, bright, cheerful, humming something from the night before while frying eggs in the kitchen. She moved like someone living in a totally different version of our life. I watched her from the hallway for a while, wondering what kind of person could send emails like that at night and still whistle over bacon by morning. I wanted to ask her, really ask her, but instead I said, "Thanks for making breakfast." And she said, "You are welcome, sweetie," without turning around. Her voice made me feel like a guest in my own marriage. Later that day, while she was out running errands, I opened her closet, not to snoop, but to remind myself who she used to be. Her green dress from the gala was stuffed at the back, still smelling faintly like her perfume, and something else, something sharper. I checked the inside pocket of her coat out of curiosity. That is when I found a folded cocktail napkin with a phone number scrolled in handwriting too neat to be mail. It was not Cameron. It was a woman's name, Mara. No last name, just Mara. "Let me know when it is safe to talk." Safe. Now I was spiraling. Who was Mara? Why would talking to her need to be safe? Why the secrecy? That night I did not sleep again. My stomach felt like a pit. I lay awake next to Laurel, whose breathing remained slow, calm, innocent. I started going back through everything. The retreat in Mexico, the sudden interest in personal development books, the group yoga that only women attended. It all started to feel manufactured, calculated. Monday morning, I called in sick, said I had a migraine. The truth was I needed space to think. I went through the guest list of the gala, found a digital copy of the program Laurel left lying on the table, and scanned for the name Mara. There it was, Mara Kennedy, donor coordinator. So, she was not some random woman. She was involved. I searched the name online and found a LinkedIn profile, nonprofit fundraising. She had worked closely with the board. That meant Cameron. That meant Laurel. My head spun. At lunch, Laurel texted me from her work number, which she never used casually. "If you are not feeling well, do not overthink things. You have been tired lately. We will talk when I am home." That did not feel like care. That felt like management. But I did not wait. I messaged Mara on Facebook. I kept it simple. "Hi, Mara. I believe you met my wife, Laurel, through the arts gala. I found your name and number. I am not accusing anyone of anything, but if there is something I should know, I am listening." I did not expect a response, but I got one that same evening. Just 3 lines. "Ellis, I have been waiting for this. Meet me tomorrow morning. I will explain everything. Alone." No emojis. No details. just an address near an old office park across town. The way she phrased it, "I have been waiting," made my heart hammer. I had no idea what was coming. But I knew one thing for sure. Whatever this was, it was bigger than dancing. I did not tell Laurel I was meeting Mara. I did not even mention the message. That night, I sat across from her at dinner, grilled chicken and quinoa, because she was now suddenly health conscious. And I nodded along as she told me about a new exhibit coming to the museum. She spoke fast, a little too fast, like she was trying to fill the room with words so I would not speak mine. And I let her because the truth was I did not want to fight anymore. I just wanted the truth. Quiet, undistorted, unfiltered. The next morning, I arrived 15 minutes early at the address Mara had sent. A plain office building with cracked pavement and a blinking open sign in the window of a coffee shop on the corner. She was already inside, sitting in the back wearing a blazer over a t-shirt that said, "Ask better questions." I was not sure if that was ironic or just cruel. When I sat down, she did not greet me like a stranger. She did not even ask if I wanted coffee. She just looked at me with this exhausted kind of pity and said, "You really do not know, do you?" I did not say anything, just stared back, heart in my throat. Then she dropped the bomb. Laurel and Cameron have been involved since January. It started at a planning retreat for the gala. They got paired up on some vision board activity. And well, I guess one thing led to another. I blinked. Involved was such a soft word for what I felt crashing around inside my skull. They are not just having some affair, she added. They are planning something. She has been talking to legal advisors about splitting assets. She has already moved money into a separate account under a trust with her sister's name. I could not breathe. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "Why are you telling me this?" I finally asked. Mara leaned back, arms crossed. "Because she used me to get to Cameron. I thought I was helping her build a future for herself. I did not realize she was trying to erase someone else's. You did not deserve this." I sat there for a while, letting the words settle into the cracks of my denial. Pieces started to click. Laurel's sudden obsession with protecting her independence, the new credit card I never saw, the fake receipts for home office expenses. She was not preparing for freedom. She was preparing for escape. Mara gave me a folder. Inside were printed emails, photos. One of them showed Laurel and Cameron walking together on the beach. It was time-stamped just 3 weeks after she returned from Mexico. She had not gone there alone. The retreat was a lie. By the time I left the coffee shop, I felt like someone had cracked open my ribs and poured cold water straight onto my heart. But oddly, I did not feel angry. I felt empty, like my identity had been scraped clean. I did not confront Laurel that night. I could not. She was sitting in bed watching some nature documentary, laughing at a goat falling off a rock. I watched her for a long time, wondering how someone could build a secret life and still laugh like that. And then she looked at me and said, "Everything okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, just tired." She reached for my hand. The same hand she must have held just hours after kissing someone else. And I let her. Not because I believed her anymore, but because I needed one more night to mourn the version of her I thought was real. I did not go to work the next day. I did not shave. I barely moved. I just sat at the kitchen table staring at the unopened folder Mara had given me, as if opening it again would confirm that the last 7 years of my life had been some kind of cruel, intricate performance. Laurel kissed me on the forehead before leaving, told me to rest and drink tea, then vanished out the door with the same lightness she used to have when we were first dating. I waited until I was sure she was gone. Then I opened the folder again, but this time I studied every page. There was a detailed timeline, messages exchanged through Telegram and Signal, both apps she never had on her main phone, travel itineraries that did not match the lies she told me about yoga retreats and museum board dinners. One email in particular made me nauseous. It was from Cameron to Laurel, dated 2 months ago. It said, "He will not see it coming. He is too soft. By the time he figures it out, we will be 6 steps ahead. Just keep playing sweet." He will not see it coming. They were not just having a secret relationship. They were mocking me for trusting her. They were not scared of getting caught. They were banking on me never believing it because I was the quiet one, the soft one, the guy who always forgave quickly, who folded in arguments, who said, "It is okay," more times than I ever should have. And they had weaponized that. I walked into our bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. Her perfume lingered in the air. The pillow on her side still had the faint outline of her hair. I stared at our wedding photo on the dresser. Both of us laughing, eyes locked. Her hand gripping mine so tight it looked like she would never let go. But she had a long time ago. That evening I cooked dinner, something I had not done in weeks. She seemed surprised when she walked in and saw the table set. I told her I just wanted us to have a quiet night in. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, "That is so thoughtful. I love this side of you." This side of me? Which side? The gullible fool or the one slowly stitching his heart back together with shaking hands? We ate, we talked, and all I could think about was that message. Just keep playing sweet. I watched her every movement, how she leaned forward when she laughed, how she kept subtly checking her phone under the napkin, how she said, "I love you," after dinner like she was clocking out of a shift. I could not sleep that night. Again, my thoughts spun until 3 a.m., when I finally got up and opened her home office drawer. There it was, her second phone, hidden under tax paperwork, just as Mara described. It was not locked. Messages, dozens. One in particular made my chest feel like it was folding inward. "Cameron, do you think he suspects anything yet?" "Laurel, he has been quiet." That usually means no. She thought silence meant ignorance. She did not realize silence could also mean I was studying, recording, preparing. But the worst part, it was not rage I felt. It was relief, because for the first time in weeks I had clarity. No more wondering if I was just imagining things. No more clinging to the version of her I invented to feel safe. This was who she really was. And now I had choices, not about revenge. I did not want to get even. I did not want to hurt her. I did not even want to talk to Cameron. I just wanted out. Not explosively, not dramatically, quietly, just like how she was trying to leave me. Only I would leave first. The next morning was cloudless. The kind of late spring day where the world pretends everything is fine. Birds chirped. Lawnmowers buzzed somewhere down the street. Laurel made coffee while humming a song from the gala playlist. The same song I saw her swaying to in Cameron's arms. That image, her smiling up at him like he was a miracle, would not leave me. It was etched behind my eyes like a permanent watermark. I looked at her across the kitchen island and thought, she is already gone. Her body was here, yes, but her mind had moved into a different future, one that did not include me. And now that I had proof of it, messages, meetings, the secret account, her second phone, I could finally stop pretending. I did not scream. I did not break anything. I just waited until she left for her yoga class, the one that supposedly recentered her feminine core. I watched her drive off like I had watched her so many mornings before. Only this time, I did not wonder if she was really going where she claimed. I knew she was not. She was meeting him. Instead of following her, I did something else. I sat down with a notebook and wrote a letter. Not a dramatic monologue or a list of accusations. Just one page, quiet, controlled, measured. I told her I knew, that I had seen the messages, read the emails spoken with Mara. I wrote that I was not going to fight for someone who already left the marriage months ago, that I would not beg, that I would not scream, that I would not be around when she came home. I placed the letter under her pillow. Then I opened my laptop and transferred what was left of my personal savings into a separate account. One she did not have access to. It was not much, but it was enough. I called my brother in Oregon, told him I was coming for a visit. "For how long?" he asked. I did not answer. I think he understood. I left everything else behind. The keys, the toothbrush, the framed wedding photo that once made me proud. I only took a small bag and the folder Mara had given me. Not because I needed the evidence anymore, but because I wanted to remind myself that I was not crazy, that it had all been real. Before locking the door for the last time, I stood in the hallway where we used to hang our coats and our laughter. I whispered a single sentence to no one in particular. She made her choice, and now I am making mine. By the time Laurel returned that evening, the house was silent. No smell of dinner. No me in the living room, just a cold coffee cup on the counter and an empty space where I once stood. I imagine she went to our bedroom, found the letter, and sat on the edge of the bed the same way I had, reading it over and over, waiting for it to turn into something else. But it would not, because I was not coming back. She had spent months building her exit behind my back. All I did was take the door she left half open, and I shut it. When I left that house, I did not expect her to notice right away. I thought maybe I would get a cold text a day or two later. Something like, "Where are you?" Or maybe even nothing. Maybe she would shrug, sip wine with Cameron, and call it a soft ending. But it was not like that. Started with 1 missed call, then 3, then 10. By the end of that day, I had 17 missed calls, 5 voicemails, and 1 long text that simply said, "Ellis, please do not do this. Let us talk. It is not what you think." Of course, it was exactly what I thought. Probably worse. And she knew it. I was already halfway through Nevada by then, driving my brother's old Ford that he lent me without asking questions. Just handed me the keys and said, "You good?" And I said, "Not yet." And he nodded like that made sense. There was something comforting about silence between people who do not need to force anything. It was the opposite of what I had lived in for the last 2 years. I listened to one of the voicemails while parked outside a gas station near a dry canyon. Laurel's voice was shaking, almost unrecognizable. "Ellis, please. I do not know what you have heard or who told you what, but I swear I did not mean to hurt you. I was confused. It is more complicated than you think." More complicated? She made it sound like she misplaced her car keys, not rearranged our whole life behind my back. And in that phrase, "Who told you?" it told me everything I needed to know. She did not regret what she did. She regretted that I found out. Later that evening, I pulled into a motel just outside Bend, Oregon. Nothing fancy, one of those places where the carpets are stiff and the ice machine rattles all night. But it was mine, my space. For the first time in months, I fell asleep without listening for the sound of her voice, her footsteps, her lies sliding beneath the door. The next morning, I got an email from our bank. Laurel had attempted to access a shared investment account. She triggered a flag by trying to transfer a sum above the limit. I had already removed my name from it, something my lawyer had advised me to do quietly and legally. Her name was still on it, but not with the full control she assumed. I guess that was the moment she realized I was not bluffing. At noon, she called again. Then Cameron did. Yes, he had the nerve to call me. Blocked number. I almost did not pick up, but curiosity got the better of me. I said nothing, just listened. His voice was cocky, flat. "Hey man, look, I do not know what Laurel told you, but this thing, it was not meant to go down like this. She is pretty wrecked. You should talk to her before doing anything legal. You are both good people. You can work it out." Work it out. That was the moment I realized something else. Cameron was not in love with Laurel. He was in love with getting away with things. He had that voice, that smooth, clean-washed confidence of a man who had done this before and was used to people folding, used to fixing things with charm and half-truths. I hung up without replying. I did not need to justify my silence. I did not owe anyone closure who never offered me honesty. That night, I went for a walk near the river. The air was cold. My breath came out in soft clouds. And for the first time in a long time, I did not feel like I was walking inside a lie. I was not waiting for someone to notice I was broken. I was not hiding how much it hurt. I just existed, and that was enough. Because sometimes survival is not about burning the bridge. It is about realizing the bridge was already ash and you were the only one who had not noticed. Weeks passed, then a month. I stopped counting the days. Laurel's name faded from my notifications, her messages drifting into the junk folder like distant echoes from a life that no longer belonged to me. Cameron never called again. Maybe he realized I was not the kind of man who clung to broken things. Or maybe Laurel finally told him the truth, that I was not coming back. And she was right. I stayed in Oregon longer than I thought I would. My brother helped me settle into a small place near the outskirts of town. Modest, A bit drafty at night, but peaceful. There was a porch that creaked when you stepped onto it. In mornings when the fog sat low over the grass like something out of a dream, I started waking up early. I stopped refreshing old texts. I started remembering what silence sounded like when it was not full of suspicion. One day, I joined a local book group, just a few people who met on Wednesdays to drink terrible coffee and argue about symbolism in classic novels. I did not say much at first, just listened, absorbed. But the act of being around people who did not know my story, who did not look at me like I was someone's broken husband, it was healing in a way I had not expected. And then I met Nora. She was not loud. She did not wear attention like a badge. She just sat beside me one week and asked what I thought about the book we were reading. I mumbled something awkward, probably sounded ridiculous, but she smiled anyway. Not a performative smile, not a watch me be perfect kind of smile, a real one. Over the next few weeks, we talked more about books, about work, about the weird feeling of restarting your life in your 30s like you are assembling furniture without instructions. She never pried, never asked about Laurel. She just let me show up as I was, and I did. One evening, we stayed after everyone else left. We were sitting outside on the library steps, the air warm but breezy. She looked at me and said, "You have a way of listening like you are still deciding whether the world deserves your trust." I laughed. It was not bitter. It was honest. "That is because I used to give it away too easily." She nodded. "And now," I paused. "Now I give it to people who do not ask for it. They just earn it." That night I did not look back. Not once. Not at the past. Not at Laurel's letters that kept piling up in my old email. Not at the future I once imagined with someone who did not even want to dance with me anymore. I looked forward into something new. I was not fully healed, but I was healing. And sometimes that is enough to begin.